I think Turo is a great opportunity for someone looking to make maybe $1,000, $2,000, depending on how many cars you have. I spent a lot of time in the OA space, and given the behavior from Amazon, I decided that, I don't want to have all of my eggs in one basket. Like, if you're going to do it at a high level, you have to break somebody else's system, and then you learn how systems work. I think that you just have to adjust your expectations of it. So I think that the person that, in their third month is selling $100,000, probably gone. That probably is no longer going to happen.
I think he was more against how it's positioned on Twitter and Instagram, how it's like this easy fix, like there'll be no headaches, no issues type of thing.
If you go to TikTok shop and try your best to make a video that goes viral, you can make 2K off one video.
Every day there's more content created than all humans on earth can watch in a day. Like, if we all just stayed on our phone for 24 hours and watched different content, we could still not get through each day of content.
I hope that over the next 10 years as a society, we just go out and touch some grass more, because it's kind of polluting the brain a little bit. I read a stat that said that the folks over in Philly, they have a 50% literacy rate. So kind of crazy.
With the Alexa thing, it's listening to you because you talk to it. How could it not be listening to you? Because you have to say, Alexa.
What were the cons? What did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not successful. I've lost $10,000, but
well, 10K is not that big of a loss. So.
No, it's not bad. I'm willing to lose 25 before I quit. Okay. So, I'm good. That's a good mentality to have, I guess.
I think that would be my advice. You don't got to share everything in the timeline.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Side Hustle Experiment podcast. Today we have 7-figure seller Pete Flips with us today. We're going to talk Amazon, Turo, Walmart, influencer program, pretty much anything. We're just going to shoot the shit, hang out. Thanks for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, so we don't usually go too much in the intro stuff, but you can give a little brief intro if nobody's heard of you, kind of like where you started and how you got here.
Yeah. So probably 2 or 3 years ago, I've always been flipping on eBay. Actually opened my Amazon account probably in 2018 and just scanned a couple of items and was like, well, shit, this is confusing. And then put it down for a while, stayed with my the bread and butter of eBay, and then was in some cook groups, and just they were like, Amazon's a good opportunity right now. You should take a look at it just because of the volume. And so then I started to kind of go in that direction, and had, I think my trailing 12 months is $1 million. But, got better at it, met a lot of people in the space, always interested in learning. So it also did Turo for a little bit there, and saw a little bit on Walmart as well. So kind of doing everything, which I think is kind of the direction you need to go in these days.
Yeah. So expand on that a little bit more. I know you said you were talking earlier about you're kind of diversifying out, but you're also not doing the Turo anymore. So kind of what are your baskets looking like these days?
Yeah, we can touch on Turo. I think Turo is a great opportunity for someone looking to make maybe $1,000, $2,000, depending on how many cars you have. But in Wisconsin, it gets really cold in the winter, so it's not very enjoyable. So me and my wife were like, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. But I do think it's a good opportunity. More people are aware of it now than they were. So the margin did decrease a little bit, but still selling Amazon, probably sell 60 to 70K a month. But then learning Walmart, I think I spent a lot of time in the OA space, and given the behavior from Amazon, I decided that, I don't want to have all of my eggs in one basket. I'd rather learn a couple of different baskets and have a system where if everything goes to hell, I don't really care. So if I lose an ungate on Amazon, okay, Walmart. I don't have a lot of the stuff that I do now. It's a lot of FBM through prep, because then I don't have to pay removal fees if everything goes haywire, and I can just have them both. I can have them cross-listed and not have any problems. So that's how I've diversified a little bit, and yeah, I mean, there's so much opportunity still with e-com. I haven't even touched in the TikTok shop. I haven't tried that yet, but I probably should. There's a lot of money being made there. But
how's your experience with Walmart been so far? We've had a bunch of different kind of reviews of it.
It's a good question. I think their tooling isn't very good yet, which is probably good for the people that are looking to start it. And so I like that aspect because it's kind of a wild, wild west, and you get to test and you get to plug and play and see what works and develop your own system. I know that there are now info products being made on Walmart, but I don't feel like those have gotten a ton of traction to this point. I could be wrong. Um, and so if you have that experience from Amazon, you can just kind of plug and play over to Walmart and make some good money. Um, I also like their customer support. Like my VA can just bully their customer support. They're pretty receptive. She can get things done very quickly compared to going through the slog that is Amazon. In my opinion, she can turn around things really quickly. So I like that a lot.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you're doing a lot of I don't even know what it's called, but merchant fulfilling on Walmart as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I'll send a lot of stuff to my prep center, and then they'll do the fulfillment. Um, I've gotten into a little bit of like Lego investing as well. So I'm split across Amazon, Walmart there. And we'll just continue to do that because it's a pretty safe category. If I were to lose my ungates in both, I could probably still go to eBay or StockX at some point because that market in particular will just continue regardless, in my opinion. Whereas, something that isn't as collectible would, maybe it struggles on Walmart, but it pumps on Amazon. And if you're tied to Amazon, you lose an ungate, kind of in a pickle, you're going to lose some money. So, yeah, I mean, I do a lot of like FBM through prep these days.
I'm so happy you said that StockX thing. I've been talking about on this pod, like I have all these Legos I need to get rid of, and I'm gated on Amazon now, and I think it'll take a process to get ungated on Walmart. Forgot StockX is the easiest way to sell anything. They just give you a shipping label, you just put the cost up. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to look at that. I wonder how the volume is there for that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it'll change, right? Like, I mean, I've not sold Legos on StockX I don't remember doing it. But like that brand in particular is just going to be super resistant to any sort of problem. Because if somebody like you see the prices that some people pay for those sets, it's egregious. If you just hold it long enough and it's just a game of like attrition at some point, you'll get your number. It might take some time, but we'll get there. You sell it on eBay, you sell it on StockX, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I want to hear more about this Turo stuff. So I don't even know how Turo, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So how do you stop doing it, but what's the process to start doing that? And like how good of an opportunity do you think it is? What would you need capital wise? Kind of walk through a little framework of how that works.
Maybe explain what it is, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know what it is.
Sure. So Turo is a peer-to-peer car rental service. So say you're going to a city for a conference, you could grab a ride, somebody else's car. I would say the process to starting it up, I overcomplicated it a lot because I didn't really love the liability of having someone be in my car. So I talked to lawyers and just try to get a sense of like, what should I be concerned about? And so we set up some legal stuff. I don't want to like give advice or anything like that, but I just opened an LLC. At the time when money was super cheap, I found I think like a 2.5% loan on just a beater car that had a couple of nice features in it, and then just listed it. And so, like, I think the payment on that car was like $300 a month, and I'd rent it for like $60 a day. And it was always out. And I think that if you get into some of the larger markets, it's going to be super competitive because people are thinking about that. So if I'm going to go to Miami, everybody knows that people like to go to Miami. And so they're going to have like a fleet, and they may have optimized their system and, their acquisition process of new vehicles to just beat down the price so that they're always booked. So I think there's a lot of opportunity in like a niche market. Like I'm in Milwaukee. Nobody's really thinking about being a tourist in Milwaukee for the most part. You're welcome to come, but not many people are coming. So it was kind of wide open. And so we did it for, I think, 2 years. And I was just opportunistic with buying cars off friends and family members when they were done with it. So what I would do is I'd go, like, our first car was new. And then our second car, I think, had 110,000 miles on it when we bought it. But what you can do is, if it's a decent car and it runs well, you can grandfather that car in if you just get it onto the platform. At the time, it was under 130,000 miles and I think under 10 years old. And I basically had no payment on that thing and would just print cash. So that's at like a high level, like how we did it. And we were probably pulling in 1,500 to $2,000 a month off that for a while. So I mean, it's a little bit of work, getting the cars like spruced up and such. Some pro tips I would say would be to avoid like minivans and larger vehicles, because those are the ones that the families are renting and they're going to have all their snacks and stuff flying around in the back. But yeah, I think it's a good opportunity if you just do some market analysis, and the market analysis is super simple. You just look at what people are priced at in your area, and if it works with what you can acquire, you're golden, and build in like a certain percentage for maintenance and such, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't know. I think you're probably one of the only people I've ever heard that actually did that. I've always heard it was good. I just didn't know how popular it ever was. Like I thought, I don't know if I would ever get on there to rent a car, which is obviously a terrible metric of where you start a business. But I just have never really thought to do it. So I just thought, is it that popular? But you're saying there's probably more. There's just increased competition on both sides. There's probably more demand and more supply of people, right?
Yeah. So like, let me sell you on why I think people do it. Okay. So there's a couple of factors. One, Turo does have a vetting system. So I believe they work with the DMV to look at your driving record. And if it sucks, you're not going to get approved. So that's one aspect of protection for the person that's on Turo. But they also don't require you to use a credit card. And so people that don't have good credit or can't they'll use this program and they have a good driving record, but maybe they had, they defaulted on like a medical, expense or something like that. And it's just like, hey, you know what? I can't get approved to rent an Enterprise. I'll go to Turo. And then the other benefit, I think, from a consumer perspective would be, when you get to an airport and you're like about to get your car and they're like, hey, I want to upgrade you. And you're like, no, I like, and they kind of harass you about it a little bit. You don't have to deal with that. Like, I have nothing to upgrade you with. So like, you're going to take the keys and you're off to the races. Like, So from a consumer perspective, we use Turo all the time just because I don't want to deal with the long lines at Enterprise. And they offer pickup features. So like, I can just get off the plane, pop into a car, and I'm off. So I mean, there's a convenience aspect to it for the person that's renting.
It's a good sales pitch.
Yeah,
I'm about to take a vacation this summer, and I'm like, maybe I'll just use Turo. That's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. No, it's and the companies are leaner, right? Like I don't have to carry, like I personally don't carry the same level of like insurance and such that a large company would have. They just take a percentage of your revenue, and then you get protections based on where you slot in. So I would slot into like, I'd take 80% of whatever I made on the platform, and then I'd have a pretty good level of liability and car insurance through them.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's you got, John.
So how would it work then? I guess what's up? What are you doing? You have to like clean the cars? Do you like partner with someone to kind of do that, or do you drop it off? Like, kind of what was your role in the business?
Yeah. So I probably took outsourcing to too much of an extreme, and that was at the detriment of my wife. So she did a lot of like the day-to-day with it. Whereas like I just kind of set up the infrastructure. She works remote. She had a little bit of time. And so I was like, well, we could just do this and just, make a little extra money, pump it in the market, that sort of thing. And so she would just manage all of like the cleaning. And I would do like maintenance, like if we needed oil changes, but that's pretty much it once you get going. I think it's super easy to like complicate the startup process. Like I was worried about every hair in the car when I first started, and like, if there was, whatever the case may be. But you could just list it and most people are going to be pretty happy with it. I think the only advice I would give would be, I would refrain from using a personal car, because there is the possibility that someone smokes in your vehicle, and that's not the most enjoyable thing. But Turo, again, does have pretty good customer support, and you can put a pretty stiff penalty on them. And what you should be doing if you were thinking about doing this is just in all of your automated messaging, just come off as a hard ass, and then you're going to deter all of that behavior. Like, hey, just a reminder, if you smoke in my car, I'm going to slap you with like a $300 fine. So like, don't, because I will do it, and I am, if I see one little bit of ash, it's going. So, yeah, I think those would be kind of once you have like the automated messaging and stuff, it kind of runs itself.
Yeah, it reminds me of this Uber I got in one time, and somebody had just puked in his car.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh, dude, that's gotta suck." And he was like, "I don't care at all because they get charged $300. I charged somebody $30 to clean it. I just made $270 for you puking in my car." And I was like, "I guess if the fee is $300, like it doesn't really matter. You can kind of pay somebody to get out most of that stuff." So
yeah. So our cleaning, like I just had this. There's this. If they smoked in our car, it was like $250 or $300 in a fine, which I really was like. After it happens once, I don't care because you've broken the seal.
Yeah.
So I just took a $7 bottle of Zep, it's called, and that thing was clean as a whistle, and we had a little bit extra spending money. So
yeah, it works out.
True.
Did you have a lot of people smoke in the car?
At first, I do. Part of me, either Turo found a way to get them off the platform after they had a bad record, or I just developed, or the automated messages over time as I learned, like, deterred the behavior. Because we had it on the upfront probably like 3 or 4 times, maybe more, but eventually that behavior just stopped completely.
Cigarettes or weed?
Both.
Yeah, I bet the weed would be horrible. Because if I got into a car and it smelled like weed, I'd be like, dude, I can't drive this thing. Like, what if the cops pull me over or something?
Yeah.
Cigarettes bad, but I mean, weed's definitely really bad, especially for future customers.
Yeah. Well, and we were priced at a spot where most of our clients were very local and just like needed a ride. Maybe their car broke down, or whatever the case may be. So we would get a little bit of that. But the tourists, I felt like, were not bad, but we're also not in a market where you're like, it's not like Miami where you're like going to go out and, be a degenerate for a little bit of time. So,
well, you said you still have a 9 to 5. You don't have to say what it is or whatever if you don't want to, but why have you kept your 9 to 5 this long? It seems like you have a lot of business sense. Even the way you speak about this stuff, you seem like you can understand stuff at a high level. But yeah, why do you not? Why do you still have a 9 to 5?
So I think that for me, the 9, like so it's a good question. I think the reality is that whenever you're selling on someone else's platform or working for a company, you're at somebody else's mercy. And so if I can have as many funnels of cash as possible and continue to keep the lights on, I'm going to do that while I'm younger so that I don't have to do it later. Like, I make an average salary at the 9 to 5. I don't have to worry about insurance. I don't have to, like, if I have a really good month on Amazon and give a little bit to the employees, then I can just chuck a ton of that into the market and then just watch that grow. So, I mean, that's really why I do it. And yeah, I mean, that's really the method behind the madness. I think I don't want to be like too over leveraged on any one platform.
You don't think that you'd be like, I'd make more money if I quit my 9 to 5. I know a lot of people think like that. So you just think, no, this supplements enough income to where longer term, this just makes sense to work maybe harder right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the stability that the 9 to 5 offers. Obviously, like, you're going to continuously get that paycheck, which is super nice. And then, if you're hammering something on Amazon, it's always possible that that's gone tomorrow. What are you going to do then? Like, and that's kind of how I look at it. And I've been working where I work for a while, and can navigate things pretty quickly. So, it's not extremely taxing. I mean, it is a 9 to 5. It's another 40 hours of work, but yeah, I mean, that I think that just the system that I've created has been beneficial. Like, I remember just a few years ago, I had like $30,000 to my name. So, like, it's changed a little bit just by kind of considering all of the above options.
Well, you talked a little bit before. You ran a podcast for a while, and you were given some of the like drawbacks of it and stuff. I'm curious what what your thoughts are on running a podcast and why'd you stop?
Yeah. So I think that podcasting is a really good opportunity to meet a lot of people, like, very quickly. Like, Drew, we'd never talked before.
Yeah.
We've exchanged some DMs, I'm sure, but like, it's a good opportunity to meet a lot of people and learn, and see how other people are doing it. Um, I think I treated it too much like a job, and we have talked about bringing it back, but more of like a casual, like, we would just shoot the shit, talk about what's going on, what's changing. So be on the lookout for that potentially. Um, but yeah, I think it's a lot of work. I don't think people understand how much work goes into a podcast. Um, and to be frank, I had some personal stuff come up, and I was like, I'm going to take a break for a minute, and we haven't started it up. But yeah, I think that's kind of what led to us pausing. We'll say pausing.
Yeah. And like, I guess if you're looking at it from a perspective of like, okay, this is kind of a funnel for like followers and info and that stuff, you do
Sure.
have to treat it like a job, because you can't be on there just, saying whatever. You need to be like a VSL almost. You need to be, your whole message needs to be a bit curated, and you have to have a real like leash on the conversation. See, we kind of just say whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
we have nothing to sell you literally
Yeah.
right now. So it's just that I could see where that would make it tough. And that's kind of what I feel like all Amazon podcasts kind of are, is this like long VSL that's being drawn out. And that's why we started this. Like, I think people want to hear a little bit more of stuff. So I can see why you got burnt out with that, because I understand.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, the group of folks that I work with, we were like looking at doing some info, but then we kind of were like, well, why don't we just run our own businesses? We have like some guys that are running a prep center. Like, I've got the 9 to 5. Like, we could just run our own business and not have to sell info and just make money that way. And I mean, info is a great opportunity to make a lot of money. But I just want to make sure that, I'm doing what I'm saying, like, sort of thing. And so we pulled off that, like, we made everything free. Like, if you want to look at it, you're more than welcome to look at the link in my Discord. I'm not going to charge you anything. I got nothing to upsell you with. Yeah, we put together like a, tutorial style thing, and help some folks. And then we're like, let's just do it. I'd rather be learning something new rather than just teaching like people how to do it, I think, is where I ended up at.
Yeah, I really like that point too, because the podcast is a ton of work, and
Yeah.
this would not work for us if we were just like, yeah, like Amazon's gating you. That's good because it's gonna weed out the weak people. Like, we're not like kind of gaslighting you, and like we have nothing to sell. And like, I think I've definitely felt that before, like going on other people's podcasts when they invite me. Like, I guess I gotta like say like, this is a great opportunity because I know they like sell something, or like, they have a back end, and like I'm not here to like shit on it or whatever. And yeah, it's just a lot of work. It's a great way to meet people, but yeah,
Yeah.
we've recently ramped up to like twice a week. It's been
Wow.
quite
That's a
the.
lot.
It was like we were talking about for a while, and then it's like, let's just do it. And the first like couple, I don't know, maybe the first month, it was like, whoa. But now it's just kind of like in that like, I don't know. It's all what you do with it too. Like I don't know. We don't clip it or anything. Eventually, we want to get like a VA and do that, but like it's kind of what you make of it. And it's like, no offense, like we didn't prep any questions for this. Like, we're just coming here to shoot the shit, and like, so I think it's also like what you make of it. And like, luckily for me, I know enough people in the space where like if we got stuck, I could like call in a favor, be like, yo, can you like come talk to us for like an hour?
Yeah. Well, and I think that, there's some lessons to be learned from Rogan. I don't think that man's prepped like a day in his life. He's just shooting off the cuff. It's authentic. You see where it goes. But I think that, like, I do think it's a good networking opportunity. I think that, I think like OA in general, like you just have to be smart about it at this point. And like, it was kind of an OA centric podcast at the beginning, and then people just started branching off. Like, let's do some wholesale. Let's do a little bit of this. And I think like OA in general, like it's still like a really good like starter point to get into ecom, because you learn, like, you're breaking systems at the end of the day. Like, if you're going to do it at a high level, you have to break somebody else's system, and then you learn how systems work. So I still think it's a really good opportunity to start. Am I going to put my entire net worth on it? Personally, not me. But I think that if you're going to go do like brand direct, that's a different story. If you have like LOAs and all the paperwork, go nuts.
That's interesting. I've never heard somebody talk about it like that. You're
Yeah.
learning to break systems, like find these exploits, so
Yep.
therefore you can make your own. That's a good way to look at that.
Well,
Like, I mean, I guess that's the whole thing is you're arbitraging opportunities, and then when you start your own thing, if you ever do that, you have to learn how to make those opportunities not arbitrageable.
right. Well, I think that like if you look like there are people that are very rare that are doing millions of dollars in a month in revenue OA, but they've found these niches and then they don't talk about them because they shouldn't because they're making good money. So like some of the like I know a few that are like did like 2 mil in December. Like shout out Steven, but that kid could break anybody's website because he'll just sit there for like 24 hours and figure out a loop and he'll perfect it and then he'll teach a VA how to do it and then it's a pretty cool opportunity, but you got to get pretty sophisticated at the process and find like 5 or 6 like exploitable products that just bring it all home.
I can't wait to talk to you.
Shut
Sadiq
up.
told us about it. I'm like, man, because that was like my bread and butter when I was on Amazon. So, and he's done that, so much more than I ever did. I'm just curious. I hope that he'll share a lot of stuff off the pod, like behind the scenes, because I can't take it from him. I don't even sell anymore. But I'm just so curious on his thought process to do this stuff. Of like, what I don't know, like to do that much volume, you really got to know what you're doing, and be like you said, sit there for 24 hours. You can't give up because a lot of times that stuff's hard. You're going to give up on the first try.
Yep. No, there was one product.
If you're still listening to the podcast at this point, you are into it and a fan, and we really appreciate that. If you could do us a solid and subscribe, and do all that stuff, it really helps the podcast grow. And secondly, if you could tag us on Instagram, just take a picture of what part you are at the podcast. If you like it, tell us what you think about it. Tag me at Side Hustle Experiment, and I will definitely share it. Now let's get back to the podcast.
I'm not going to say what it was, but he found this. He was able to exploit this one item that, like, he struggled with it for like probably 5 hours. He went dark. Wasn't in the group chats. Wasn't around for like 2 days. Like just exploiting this opportunity. Made a lot of money doing it. But like it's just like I don't think there's a lot of thought process to him, but like it's just endless energy. It just never stops, and that's really all it is.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
So
how much do you do a year on OA?
Trailing 12 is $1 million.
Okay. What's your kind of strategy with it?
What's that?
What's your kind of strategy with it? Do you do that kind of stuff, or are you different than that?
So at this point, I'm not doing as much OA specifically with, like how I used to do it, where I'd be like trying to get into systems and stuff and trying to like find like loops that are just crazy compared to other people's. I do a lot of, I just buy from a distribution company at this point. If there's opportunities, I just have the VAs pretty much manage that. And then I'm kind of in the process of learning Walmart. And yeah, that's kind of where I'm at this point. Some of the loops we were running like a year and a half ago are pretty much dead, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I wonder how much opportunity would be like that on Walmart, because where you can't find stuff as easy and you don't know the sales rank. I bet that stuff's very abundant. Somebody told us, I don't know who it was, John, but didn't they say that you could sell stuff on certain listings and there were no fees, or the fees were really messed up? Yeah, it was like 80% lower fee. So you could kind of just crank out this stuff at a really high margin. So that's another, you can, exploit the whole platform of Walmart. I don't know if that's still available or not, but that seems like a pretty good opportunity.
I forget who it was, but it was a combination of like Walmart had an error on their end in the fee. So who knows if that gets corrected or not. So I'm sure if that was Amazon, they would correct that like in a second. And then there was a combination of like Walmart trying to push certain things. So like if they were doing microphones, they'd be like, all right, no fees on microphones this month or something like that. So I think it was like a combo of both. Or maybe lower fees, not no fees, but something to that extent.
Yeah. So like one thing I've been training the VAs on would be like Amazon to Walmart. So what I identified as an opportunity with the Amazon's credit card. It's a personal credit card, but I'm getting 5% on every purchase. Yep. So if I just pump enough volume through there, get it to Walmart and just kind of trickle it over, I'm stashing, $5,000 to $6,000 a month and just cash back sometimes. Like if you get it up there. So I mean that's a strategy that I've been deploying with our VA team as well.
You have a good limit on that credit card?
It's like 20K, so I have to feed it cash occasionally.
Does it work like the well, some of them, you pay them off and then it automatically increases your balance some, it waits for the next month. Is it pretty good? Pay it off and you're open for new credit?
I haven't noticed big bumps
Okay.
at all. But I also don't look at 20K as like a huge limit. Like at this point, like it's like the plum, I had like 200K at one point. I've been beat down a little bit till about 100. But yeah, I mean, for like I have the cash sitting aside, so we're just gonna like run that, and like I think long term vision. I think Saul Sell Stuff has a really good tool with Flip Alert, and I just don't see that as very beginner friendly in some ways. Like you have to know the data in order to leverage that. Where if there's a product that like goes on sale for 2 weeks a year and it's half price, I'm going to take advantage of that opportunity, buy a bunch, and then sell. I think a lot of beginners, because they're tight on cash, I need to flip that tomorrow. So they may not be as interested and they may not have the know-how. So I'm expecting prices to be more stable in general, because you have to be pretty sophisticated to find those opportunities.
Yeah. I'm curious your thoughts on the state of the Amazon stuff. So obviously, we're a little bit more negative about it, but like I said, I don't feel like we try to be. It just happens all the time. But I've thought recently, is it kind of a mania of people thinking that it's bad and it's going bad? It's more saturated and the fees are worse. Is it reality, or like we feeding into the mania, or are we telling the truth about it? Because I feel like we just try to best purport the facts of what's going on, that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like maybe we're just giving a terrible message, and maybe it's still amazing, the best thing in the world. I don't know.
I think it's different than it was. I mean, it's certainly more complex. You have different fees. You have additional fees. These are no longer the days where you can get 30 cents a pound shipped in FBA. So I still think it's a good opportunity. I think that you just have to adjust your expectations of it. So I think that like the person that in their third month is selling $100,000, probably gone. Like that probably is no longer going to happen, because it's very competitive. There's a lot more people on the platform selling, and I think that the cycle and the potential for significant financial problems is higher, because there's more competition and it's more complicated. So you'll see people that will like be 50K in debt because they over leveraged and then they got hit with they got regated or whatever the case may be. So I think that it's not as much of the wild west as it used to be. So
yeah, so the combination of the competition and the stuff, just it's more difficult overall. I think Steve French, I've said this like 10 times on the pod. If nobody's listening to the Steve French episode, he said the days of it being a side hustle are probably over. The days
right.
of, you having to, this is a company now. You're not like a reseller. You have to treat it like a business, or it's not going to work.
I 100% agree with that. And I think that what you see a lot of the folks in the space like navigating to the brand direct approach, which I think makes a lot of sense, because rather than being a pain in the ass for a brand, why don't you help them? Like if you don't want to take on hundreds of thousands of dollars of risk on OA, okay, it still presented you the opportunity to learn the platform. Go talk to a brand that has no godly idea what they're doing. Don't charge them anything, because you probably don't know the ins and outs of what you're about to help them with 100% with registry and such. But then you could probably make some pretty good money leveraging that knowledge. I think that's a pretty safe opportunity.
Do you do that personally?
I don't.
Okay, so I hear that a lot. We've had people on here that have talked about this, but we had Gavin Sweeney on. He does like $4 million a year wholesale, and we were asking him the biggest myths of the Amazon space, and he said number one was this brand direct thing.
Really?
He was like, some people are going to have this, but like the logistics of it, I don't know. Do you remember what he said specifically?
Yeah,
John?
He's basically like, I don't think it's as good of an opportunity as everyone's making it out to be, and that basically like you put in a lot of work basically, I think he was basically saying like it probably is not worth his time. He has like a pretty good VA system set up, from what I understand. But I think he's more just like, I think he was more against how it's positioned on Twitter and Instagram, how it's like this easy fix, like there'll be no headaches, no issues type of thing. And that's like, it's like the new rage, like when wholesale, like when all the OA people got into wholesale, right? Like it was like OA sucks, like wholesale is the best. Like it's these, like you see these yin and yang bounces like all the time. And I think that was more his take. It's just like you see all these people trying to sell you on, you know, a high-end mentorship of how to like make a relationship with a brand, but in reality, like maybe you're making 1K for the brand, but like you're in 10K with the mentorship and all the other shit.
Oh, sure. Huh.
Yeah, that's what it was. He was saying the logistics behind this. So, like, I guess what kind of brand would you get? Let's say you get a brand that does $25,000 a month in sales from your thing, but your margin's 10%, and that's only $2,500. Like,
Right.
so you'd need 4 brand exclusive things that are doing $25,000 a month, which is kind of a lot on Amazon for a brand. And he was saying, like, what do the logistics of this thing even make sense? Because if you can get one, banger brand that does $250,000 a month, then yeah, it makes sense. But it's like,
Yeah.
what are the logistics behind how big you can grow that type of thing?
Yeah.
But I'm sure people that are doing this, or you probably wouldn't have brought it up. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely do know people that are consistently like creating those partnerships.
Mhm.
And what I see is like people are still doing OA while breaching into that additional, like, I'm going to take a little bit of the money I made in OA and can still make an OA, and then I'm going to learn something new just to hedge my bet a little bit. And so I don't think that that's a problem. He raises an interesting point though about, you're going to have, like, you see the people that are doing the best. You know how many phone calls went into that?
Yeah.
A lot. And so it's not, that is not a side hustle. That is a job. That is that's a business right there. And you need to, it's going to be painful to get to that point, which is fine, but you could make some good money doing it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, kind of circle back what Drew was saying before and what like Steve French said. It's kind of like, I don't like, it almost seemed for most people or pitching it to other people about Amazon that it'd almost be worth your time if you can make like 1,000 extra bucks a month. And maybe it is, right? Because maybe that's an extra 10 grand a year or whatever. But now I don't even think it's worth it to try. If you're just trying to do 1,000 extra bucks, it's about like 10K in sales on Amazon with all the headaches, the regates. Like, I don't even know. Like, I feel like there'd be better options for you at this point. Would you agree?
if your goal was to make 1,000,
$1,000, I'd stick to OA.
really, so you think it would be a good, yeah, that's what we're talking about though.
Yeah.
He was saying like, okay, so what's the best option to make $1,000 a month? Do you think that Amazon would still be like, because OA kind of has traditionally been the best way to get to like, your first 4 or 5 figures online.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's other, like, Amazon's not an easy business. It's complicated. You're managing inventory. You're managing logistics. No, there's certainly better opportunities to make like your first dollar that require no risk. If you go to TikTok Shop and try your best to make a video that goes viral, you can make 2K off one video. Like, I mean, that's a great opportunity right there. I don't know how long it'll last, and I'm not well versed in it, but I mean, some of the numbers that those folks are hanging up are absurd. Like, you see $60,000 like profit in a month, and then they retain their sanity because they're not worried about the shipment or whatever the case may be. Like, they're going to the bar and then they'll reset, next, on Monday and try and do it again.
Yep. Yeah, that stuff's crazy. The whole, which I agree with you. I don't know how long it'll last because how efficient is that? Is TikTok kind of pushing that? When are they going to be like, okay, we've lost too much money on this? Or the brands are like, okay, we've lost too much money giving these people money. But at the moment, it's not slowing down. None of that stuff's slowing down. And it's just, I mean, I see those $100,000 a month P&Ls and stuff. Yeah, it's like, what? How's that even possible? Like you imagine how much money you'd have to risk and all the sanity you'd have to risk on Amazon to do it. And that's a pretty good one. That's like a traditionally pretty easier than creating a brand or doing stuff like that. So
yeah, it's a great opportunity to learn things about brands. What do they want? What do they need? And when Gary Vee talks, I typically listen because he's been right a lot. And he was just talking about how he thinks that TikTok, that type of shopping style, is the future because our attention spans are so damn short that I don't want to go through all of this information to find the product that I'm going to use. So if you have a t-shirt that I like, bam, okay, I'll just buy it off there. Or if you, I don't even know what the hell they sell. Or if there's a supplement that's going to solve all of my problems, well, it appears that somebody that's just a client is making content on it. Now the question will be is how and when do the customers learn that this is just a bunch of fugazi and that, you know, maybe that supplement's not going to solve all your problems, and they maybe start to resist that sort of marketing.
Yeah, it seems like you're pretty aware of this whole like sales awareness process. You've mentioned this thing a few times, like with the Turo and stuff like that. That's another thing with this TikTok shop. The reason this stuff works is because people have no clue what the hell they're watching. But as soon as you start getting on TikTok and you're like ad, like subconsciously you know that those will be completely ineffective. The same way, you know, you get magazines in the mail. At first you're like, whoa, this woman lost 30 pounds. Like, this is crazy. We didn't, you know, me and you probably didn't do this. We're younger, but like, I don't know. You probably saw that, John, at some point, like just a magazine, or you did copywriting. So you probably had to write stuff like that. But now it's like you see it and you're like, what the hell is this? We know that John wrote this about this woman behind this. So yeah, that's one thing. When will people be aware? I don't know, but the days might be sooner than we think.
Yeah. Well, and it'll be interesting to see. I know that there's been some developments with AI in video creation. And if I'm sure people are already doing this, we're just pumping videos at scale. Like TikTok's going to have to respond in some way and say like, we're either detecting AI, maybe they already do it, I don't know. But like our customers hate this. We can't sell ads or we can't do whatever because you guys are just polluting the platform. So there'll be a response at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like some stat where every day there's more content created than all humans on Earth could watch in a day. Like if we all just stayed on our phone for 24 hours and watched different content, we could still not get through each day of content. So yeah, that's got to come at some point because there's people that crank out 10,000 hours of content a day. It's like all just garbage, but they're just wanting to hit the lottery. One video goes and well, okay, I make 10 grand and made my day's worth.
Yeah, yeah, and it's absurd. I think that I hope that over the next like 10 years, as a society, we just go out and touch some grass more because it's kind of polluting the brain a little bit.
Yeah, terribly. It's interesting. What did Gary Vee? He's saying that kind of thing. He thinks that'll just be like the future, like the whatnot type stuff and live streaming and that stuff.
Live streaming, yeah. He was saying that he thought that would be a big driver, and you see like Amazon starting to do live, like live promotions of products as well, because like I don't know where I heard this, but I kind of I stay up on like the news, like politics and stuff. And someone was saying that we're becoming like a post-literate society, and I don't disagree with that. Like I read a stat that said that the folks over in Philly, they have like a 50% literacy rate, so like kind of crazy. But it would make sense then why we would maybe stray away from like a listing with a bunch of words on it and go to shoppable videos. Like if that's where we're going as a society, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that a lot too, because I think for just in human nature, like as you know, just consumers, I think what the live shopping gives you is actually you actually get to see it, right? You're not relying on these photoshopped photos that like someone did, like or a professional photo shoot. Everything looks great. Like you're literally like I've seen like a lot of TikToks where like they're trying to do whatever and the product like breaks. You know what I mean? It's just like this like crazy thing where it's like, okay, like this is real, or it's like, oh, I didn't have it screwed in correctly. Like this is where the screw goes. Like don't make this mistake, kind of thing. So I do think that makes a lot of sense, and I think I think Hermosi says it's like, or someone else said it, but it's like everyone wants to buy, but like no one wants to be sold. So I think that is like kind of the thing on TikTok. You're just like scrolling around, someone's like messing around. It's kind of funny. You know, I've definitely bought stuff where I'm like, I don't need this, but like I'm going to buy this because it's like, and then it just like sits wherever, and it like comes like, oh, I kind of forgot I got this, but like it just makes more sense. And I just think in an age where like you're just scrolling, like if you have an extra 2 minutes, like most people are gonna pick up their phone.
Yeah, one of those kids got me on one of those earwax things. Like, look, they got me. I was like, well played. And I was like, because I'm like very particular about that. It's one of my quirks. And so I was like, I tried it out. It's pretty cool. It does work. But I think I'm just more OCD. There wasn't a ton in there. So it's like,
Those are crazy.
yeah,
Like it's like some of that stuff. It's like, how could you not watch? And then you're like, oh shit, like this
it's
is
like
what his
oddly
ear looks
satisfying.
like. Like, what does my ear look like?
Yeah.
It's just like one of these weird things.
Yeah. I just had to do this like self-analysis if I was in fact a barn animal or not. And like, I just had to compare myself to the person making the video, which they probably sourced that thing off some like disgusting YouTube video or something. Like nobody's ear really looks like that, I hope.
Yeah, it's just like a sales letter that you just don't even know it's a sales letter. You're just like, yeah, this is fun, this is entertaining, get you curious. Yeah, this stuff's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm happy to hear that Gary Vee said that. We did a predictions podcast, and that was my prediction, and I did not see that from Gary Vee. By the way, people, I came up with that on my own conclusion. I just thought there's going to be an app to where you just brain rot, scroll, and shop, and that's like all you do. I mean, TikTok's kind of there, Amazon's kind of there, Whatnot's kind of there, but I think there'll be a full platform for it where you will go on there to watch videos, to buy products. It'll be very, very efficient. There won't be any technology. So with TikTok, you have to add it to cart. You have to go check out.
Yep.
With Amazon, I'm not sure their process. They do have a one click, but whatever place can make it very efficient of like, it's as easy for you to purchase something as it is to like it. Like boom, one click. It's going to your house.
I think it's going to be like you open your phone. It just like scans your eyes or you like thumbprint it and
wouldn't be shocked. Like these companies are looking for every edge they can. Like whether it's Amazon or whatever other company, like they're in the weeds on this. So I've always been convinced that the phone is listening. People say it's not, but if I was a phone maker, I would say it isn't as well. But I've gotten too many ads where it seems like it is. So I just wouldn't be shocked if it just has like the 3 products you were thinking of right there. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep. Notification on your phone. You want to buy this? I heard you were thinking about it.
Yeah. Hey, I had a feeling.
I'm pretty sure I don't think it's a fact that they listen.
Yeah. It has to.
It has to. There's no doubt in my mind that the phone listens.
Or it like reads you. Like I was texting Garrett at one point, and he said, well, his wife was looking at a product, and then it shows up on my as an ad on Instagram or something like the next. I'm like, I've never looked for this. Like, how is this possible?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a fact at this point that is a thing. I saw it somewhere to where, and cause somebody was making the argument of why that's a good thing. Because they're like, okay, so what would you rather see? A bunch of ads that you want to see that you've been talking about, or a bunch of stuff that you don't care about? It's like, well, it's still an invasion of privacy. Yeah. But I get the perspective of like, you'd rather see stuff that you already want, not just a bunch of junk that you're like, this is cluttering my feed of garbage.
Right. I'm cool with it. Just don't lie to me about it. Like if you're doing it, I just want to opt in, opt out. Like,
yep. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Someone also brought up the point. It's like with the Alexa thing, it's like, it's listening to you because you talk to it. Yeah. Like, how could it not be listening to you? Because like you have to say Alexa, and so it's constantly listening to you. Like whether it's capturing that data or not. Like I was out last night at a restaurant, and like all of a sudden, like my watch, like the Siri, like I didn't hit it, I didn't do anything, and it's like, oh, we don't have an answer for that. I'm like, what do you like? What? Like it's crazy.
There's a reason why Jeff Bezos has a $250 million house or whatever it is. Like you don't think he's trying to exploit an edge. I think he got something else coming to you.
True. Well, what else? What else you got, John? What else can we talk about? You can ask us questions as well. We kind of do whatever here. So, you have any questions for us?
What are you guys up to now? I haven't like really. Drew, you were doing OA. You were kind of you were a little bit earlier, I think, than most of us. But what are you up to now?
Yeah, I'm doing crypto now, trading crypto. So
okay,
I'm being a pretty big DJ. But the days of that are coming to an end. So I'll probably be doing some TikTok shop. That's kind of where my mind is going. Just because I don't know, man. Once you stop looking at business Twitter and business YouTube, you kind of just forget what the move is. Like I don't know what the new business model is, but it seems like a personal brand. Everywhere I look, that's like to start a personal brand. I'm like, well, what the hell do I do with that? Like I don't know. I need to sell something still. I don't know what I'm going to do. So that's kind of where my head's at. TikTok shop or just post content, I guess. But that's it. What about you, John?
Well, I have questions about crypto because I did like a 2-week like bender on crypto because I saw because I was late on crypto for sure. I threw some money in there, but like if you found success with it, what were the pros? What were the cons? What did you learn?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not successful. I've lost like $10,000, but I do understand you just have to, it's just all mental discipline. Like to really, there's a skill set to it, but you can get the skills pretty quick. You just got to not blow your cash. You just can't like gamble. Like you have to get out of a gambling mindset, although
Yeah.
it is almost all like gambling. And I'm really bad about not being patient. So I'm just constantly trading and constantly losing money. When really you can make a few trades a day and make 100 grand a day, but you just can't lose all your cash in the meantime and get impatient. And
Yeah.
that's kind of my advice on it. It's just you have to take your emotions out of it, but that's so much easier said than done. Like if that was the case, that 1% of people wouldn't make all the money in crypto, which is usually like how it is.
Yeah. Like I saw that like they were just like publishing. Basically, there were kids that were watching the news. They were watching, whatever's going on in the world. And if something was memeable, they just throw 2K into it when the market cap was under like 100K or maybe under a million, and just see what happens, and then just exit it like the second that you have any liquidity in that market.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing all day.
Right?
Yeah, I have a news tracker pulled up on my computer. Yeah, and then I see like so Trump today did something with like this company called TSMC, and this was at like 20K market cap. It touched like 300 at the top of the day, so it was over a 10x. I only made like $400 or something, but whoever bought that and held it to the top, made a lot of money on it. Yeah. So that's it's like meme coin trading is what it's called, but that's a good understanding of it.
I followed Parker Bedier into Vine, that coin, because I was like, that would go crazy. It's got a lot of compounding factors. There's culture to it. You've got Elon who owns it. Lost a little bit of money there because it feels like that if they do bring back that platform, it's probably a year or two away. And the guy that was like that made Vine made it seem like it was coming back within a couple months, and I thought that it coincided well with like the TikTok ban review. So maybe they were like hedging their bet in case they had to be a little bit firmer on TikTok than they'd like to be. But I may re-enter. We'll see. Re-enter the trenches.
Dude, it's so hard. Like there's so much stuff outside of your control that like you don't know about if you're not in crypto all the time. So like you see that and you have all these narratives and all this stuff that makes sense. Like you're not wrong about any of that stuff. But what you don't know is that like, top 25 holders on this coin hold 40% of supply. So whenever they want to nuke the chart, they can nuke the chart. And you're just like this little bitty P at the end of it. Right. And then on top of that, there's leverage trading that's constantly on these coins. So let's say you trade Vine. I mean, it got up to like 400 mil market cap. So that was pretty high. Someone probably had leverage trading for that coin. So all the top holders will now put shorts in on a leverage position and then sell their actual position and then double up and make twice the money. Yeah. And then you have no clue what's going on. You're just like, I hope this thing goes up. But there's a whole other side of people screwing you that you cannot beat on that side. So that's the stuff that's like, that's where crypto gets like a little dicey, is that you would have no idea that was happening. But if you don't do it every hour of the day like I do, how are you supposed to know that? You're not. Right. So you're just going to lose money.
Right. Well, and I think that if you ever talk about utility with one of these meme coins, you just need to reset. Because like at the moment, there is none. Like there probably won't be. Like it's probably a 2-week thing. Got to get in and out. That's what I learned from my little dive.
Yeah. And they make like utility coins, but no utility actually needs a coin. Even if you need the token, I don't know, even the founder of like Solana, which is what these are traded on, said, if it doesn't generate real world cash, then there's no utility. It's a meme coin and it's a joke. Right. Even the person that founded this. So if you don't have some kind of real world backing, then what even is it? Yeah. You're just gambling and speculative, but I think I can get rich. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, you only got to be right once.
Exactly. I've fumbled like over $40 million. So I know that it's there. Like I've had the potential to make over 40 mil. I just play it wrong and I've lost 10 grand instead.
Well, 10K is not that big of a loss. So.
No, it's not bad. I'm willing to lose like 25 before I quit.
Okay.
So I'm good. That's a good mentality to have, I guess. Yeah. But I don't even know if I would quit. I would have to have another opportunity that would pop up because I could go back to Amazon. I was just telling John this. I'm about to move, so maybe I would do more reselling in that. But is that really what I wanted to do? I quit for a reason. So for me coming back would be a bit hypocritical of myself, I think. I don't know, though.
Internal dilemma.
Yeah, I know. I'm constantly having them, man. The Walmart stuff seems interesting because if you could source, then maybe I have a little bit of time to exploit that. That's kind of what I'm thinking. And I would recommend people that too, but we'll see about it.
And John.
Oh yeah, so for me, I'm doing mainly the influencer program at this point. I gotta have the same thoughts as you about Amazon. Everyone knows my thoughts about Amazon. This is like episode 75 of the podcast, so everyone knows where I stand. But yeah, I love the influencer program. It should be interested. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are doing it now. They're just not saying they're doing it, just based on like my DMs. Um, so I think it's a great opportunity. I think like anything else, you're gonna have to get like your own mode and your own gate and kind of, you can't just do what everyone else is doing at this point. Starting to get more brand deals, and then I want to definitely look into the TikTok shop more. Like we kind of talked about, and I think you probably on the same page, just in business in general. Like we talk about all the time on the podcast, like almost looking for that almost opportunity where like there's so much exponential growth. Like
Right.
your Amazon storefront's not going to triple tomorrow, right? Like it's just not going to happen. But you could make a TikTok video that makes you 50 or 60 grand.
Yeah.
So like I think like maybe leaning more into that, and then just kind of looking, I think like one of my biggest regrets about Amazon is I should have built out a team like VAs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And that's a real skill. I was just very good at arbitrage, which kind of is a skill, but like doesn't transfer to TikTok shop, right? But if I could build like a team to like help find opportunities or stuff like that. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm looking to do with the influencer program too. Kind of build out a team to kind of like upload the videos, do all this kind of stuff. But yeah, just kind of looking for like an opportunity where you could make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Obviously, it would be an outlier opportunity, but I mean, who knows? You never know.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the like the biggest blessings about OA was like found a killer couple of VAs and like they'll just go into war with me whatever direction we end up going. Like it doesn't matter. Like we'll find something.
Yes.
And I'll continue to like run the Amazon store and do Walmart and you know just have them kind of. And then if there's a new opportunity, I'll just kind of send them into like the more uh, you know well-defined areas where we have to really do some investigation. And I mean, it makes the 9 to 5 possible. That's for sure.
I wish that like I wish that it's not like I didn't have the information. I guess I just wasn't willing to listen. I wish that I would have thought more on that before I just completely shut it down. Is get a team together and you can run this thing basically on autopilot. Because in my perspective, I just couldn't even do it because I'm like VAs are never going to be able to source as good as me, but they could have. I coached other people, so obviously I could have coached a VA. So I think that I really regret not doing that now. That I wouldn't have just created a team. And then, like you said, even if you decide to shut your stuff down, you could take this team and do other stuff with them. It's like they're not just Amazon experts. They're just they're the good employees at that point. So you can take them and do whatever. That's a huge asset, and I wish I'd have just done that.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you get a VA, they don't really know anything about Amazon and they learn it, so they can go learn other stuff too, and you know they keep me sane. So.
Yep, 100%.
What does your team look like?
I have 2 folks. I have an admin and then a sourcer. And like I split admin with another like a friend, and like I trained her in all the admin stuff, and she works pretty independently at this point, and like just messaged me with questions and like decisions to make, and that's about it.
Well, one more final question. We're about to approach an hour here. Unless you got more stuff for us, do you have anything else?
No, I just want to know what y'all are up to.
Yeah. What are your goals in the next few years? How old are you?
I'm 32.
Damn, man, you look young for 32. I thought you were my age. I'm 26. I thought you were just my age. You get that a lot that you look young?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, well, what are your goals in the next 5 years anyways?
It's a good question. So yeah, I've been journaling a lot. I think that's a good thing to do. Right now, the 2 things that I have would be move to somewhere warmer. Wisconsin's getting a little old. Just for the 6 months. Wisconsin's nice. And then retire my wife. That's really it. So finding ways to do that, that's really all I want to do.
No, like I want to run some $30 million company or anything like that.
No, I mean I think for me, the end state is just enjoying like my life. So, I don't need to run a $30 million company. I think create a system that provides cash flow, can get a nice spot, and just, you know, having flexibility with whatever I want to do. So if I want to, you know, go on a vacation or travel, be able to do that. Yeah, I don't probably like halfway there, and just need to pile it on for the rest.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
also leave the 9 to 5 at some point.
Yeah. What else, John? You got anything else?
No, I don't think so. Do you have any parting advice for the listeners?
For the listeners, yeah, I think that when you're starting something, whatever it is, it does benefit you tremendously to be very like to share a lot of information, get feedback on the information you're sharing. But what you'll notice, like if you start in a pod, at some point you're going to be so good at what you do that it might make more sense to kind of keep what you have to yourself and exploit an edge. And I think that would be my advice. You don't got to share everything in the timeline. I don't need your leads, you know, that sort of thing. Do that when you're starting, but then you can cool off a little bit as you go.
I want to comment on that. I know that was supposed to be parting words, but it's funny because networking. That's like the thing everybody says. And I would always get on these podcasts when I was doing OA and being like, I don't really like to do that, man. I'm like a lone wolf. I'm
Yeah.
good at this, you know? And then but I always was told the opposite. So like, maybe I'm just dumb, you know? Maybe I should be networking with more people. But I think once I started coaching, once I started talking to more people, my business just went downhill. And it's because of that. It's because I gave away all these edges of like what
Yeah.
I was doing. So then it became way harder, and then it was less motivating to even do the thing. And I'm like, I'm just better off giving these people the edges anyways. I owe them something. They paid me money.
Right.
It's just a really difficult thing. When, yeah, I think that's pretty good advice to people. I don't think many people are going to hear that either. If you just put your head down and get really good, you are going to become so good that what you have is actually extremely valuable, and you need to keep it close to you or it's going to not be an edge anymore. That's the whole definition.
Everyone that's doing this well has an edge. I don't know. I mean, every single person, and like I know everybody's edge at this point. I'm not going to say what it is, but I know every single person that's doing this at a high level has a tremendous edge.
Yep.
And they're exploiting it, and they should. So you just got to find them, and then don't tell people about it.
True.
Bingo. Where can everyone find you?
I'm at Pete's Flips, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Maybe we'll start the Prep Talk podcast again.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be sure to invite y'all if we do. But yeah, I'm around.
Sweet.
Well, thanks for doing this. Guys, like, subscribe, go follow Pete, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks, y'all.